Calling the Newcastle City Council regular council meeting of Monday, March 18th, 2024 to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. May I get approval of the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Can I get approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of Monday, March 4th, 2024?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes.
We have a motion and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any nominations for recognition? No certificates to hand out today. Citizens Business Verbal. We have Mondale Airport Board Crack and Seal Project. If one of you would like to come up to the podium, introduce yourself and...
You worked us in pretty quick. I'll try to be quick.
Okay.
Three things. First of all, the crack seal project. Good news is didn't have to spend quite as much money as we asked for. So the county, the city share will be $589.58 that we're not going to use. So there's the good news. The bad news is the crack sealing project went the other way. We got to spend a little more money with that than we'd asked for. That's $880.75 that we're going to have to spend. So the end of my little story on this one is we're going to need about another $300, whatever the math is, $290 something at the end of the day. The other thing that I want you to know about is as our hangar project marches on and it's gaining a little speed, I think we're going to go out for bids here in the near future. My concern is that the lowest bid, the bid that we award, the hangar will have a little bigger footprint than was originally conceived. And in order to get the proper clearance between the taxiway for the airplane in front of the hangar and the hangar itself, 9 feet of, there's going to have to be a 9 feet strip of hard, I was going to say concrete or asphalt, a hard surface going there. On the upshot of that, it's not really a practical matter. There's going to be plenty of room for us to get the airplanes down that we're going to allow to go into that hangar. And to meet the FAA requirement, I expect to get us disposition from them that will give us about 5 years to deal with that. But I think it's minute-worthy, noteworthy that we may have to cough up the coin for this 9 feet someday. That's all I got for you. I didn't see any big worries over. It was about the $300, so I guess we can proceed with our projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the board?
I am. Mr. Cooksey,
Yes, sir.
how about this nickel per hot pour comes out to $712? I thought that all had to be heated to start with. Should not have been figured in.
What, sir?
They have a hot pour adjustment here for a nickel per unit price. It must be per foot.
To amount to how much money overall?
$712
And you're seeing that where?
Oh, right here.
on this one here.
We're paying adjustments.
I thought all that asphalt and sealing had to be hot then to start with. They can't get it in there cold.
I don't really know what that is. Anybody, Joyce, know what that's from?
I think what that is because of the propane to heat the car, the hot oil. When they bid the contract, that's one specimen that, or specification that they allow the contractor to say, I can't get it for $2 a gallon, it costs me $2.05. And that's where that comes in, that adjustment's in there.
Okay.
It's one of the variables that when you bid a contract 9 to 12 months down the road, you don't know. So I mean, at a nickel a foot, I think that's probably pretty cheap compared to what propane is going for now.
If you're happy with that, that's good. If not, we'll dig into it, find exactly what it is and let you know.
But you guys are here asking for $291.17.
Yes.
Do we have,
So moved.
Can't say, it.
Would you say?
You're not supposed to say a motion that way.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we give the airport board $289,
$91.17.
$291 and some change. Amen.
I'll second that for $291.17.
okay, we have a motion and second for $291.17 for the airport board for the crack surfacing. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
By the time we get this done.
Okay. All right, moving on to citizens' business in writing. Ann Curtel for sewer forgiveness. To whom it may concern, on January 18th of 2023, my pipes in my house and my bedroom froze and burst. And under the house by the bathroom, a pipe froze and flooded under my house. Black Hills Plumbing came and fixed them. I would like some sewer forgiveness on my water bill. Ann Cottrell. Sewer charge due to leak was $138.63. Regular sewer charges of $28 or $228.90. Is that
Just 28.90.
28? Okay, sorry. $28.90 for forgiveness of $109.73.
Your Honor, I move that we give Mr. Crowe sewer forgiveness for the $109.73 as of the damage that occurred on January 18th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion?
I have a question on that. I'm not necessarily against it, I'm just wondering how far down, we're 3 months into this now, how far do we go back to allow for forgiveness?
Good question.
I'm just wondering if she accidentally wrote 2023 instead of 24. Is that?
Oh, that is correct. Because,
23?
yeah, her usage was high in 2024, not 23.
Okay.
So I do believe that was an error on her part.
I changed my motion then to say 2024.
You know, when I read this, you know, and it's like,
Yes.
okay, how far back do we, even if at that point, if it was in December or January, and we get into, you know, April, May, you know, how far do we allow that to be able to come back and do food and sewer forgiveness?
Good question. Do you
So,
have something like that?
Well, I mean, if it's frozen,
So that, is their service still on?
Yes.
Okay, so the pipe burst in January.
Whatever
She's
goes
asking for forgiveness for January specifically.
Right.
Okay, but she hasn't had high usage
since
in
then.
February
No.
or March. Okay. And then did the water not go in the sewer?
Correct, we support the sewer forgiveness, but
Maybe she just saw that this was happening, and so she thought
It
she...
should be, and just, first we raise my question is January 23.
Right,
So
right,
to me,
right,
that's a big,
right.
I'm usually, if I'm gonna have this one, I'm gonna have it in before that, you know, I
Right.
get down.
I think it's a good question to find out, how far back we're gonna go. I don't know if there's anything in the ordinance in regards to that.
I don't believe so.
That's a good question that I think maybe we need to have an answer for down the road. But,
Well, several months down the
Council,
road.
we can
it
address
might
it
not be.
through the chapter 26 changes. We can address that with the recommended changes
Okay.
when we get that finalized.
This kinda brings up something that happened a couple of meetings ago too, where I mentioned that the folks didn't in fact ask for sewer forgiveness in their letter. They asked for forgiveness for their water bill, so I brought it up. But I mean, when people send in a letter, it should be specific to what they want. I mean, what do you think, Dublin? I mean, if they're sending in a letter for forgiveness, then it should be worded correctly to what they're actually wanting. Or does, I mean, are we covered legally if they're asking for water forgiveness and we give them sewer forgiveness, you know?
Well, I mean, if they were to ask for sewer forgiveness or water forgiveness and we gave them something different, that's just I mean, it's not as though that they could come back and say that we didn't give it. They would come in and say, hey, this was obviously an error on the part of how it was given. But I think what you would do, I think being a little specific in the letters is a little tough because, and I realize this is blunt, but I don't think that everyone in the world is going to know how sewer forgiveness operates. So I think at least if they're in a general sense giving you a letter that states, hey, I had my pipes freeze and then I had a huge water bill, I think we at least understand what they're asking.
That's kind of what Stacy was, she fields these calls, right? So then they tell her what they're in fact wanting, so that then she recommends it to the council.
Could we have a standard form that down to the city office, they come in and fill it out and
Yeah, we can do
give it to the clerk?
That's a good idea.
That'd keep everything kind of streamlined, I guess.
Absolutely.
Good suggestion, John.
yeah, and this one does say sewer forgiveness on the water bill, so, right, okay. All in favor to credit or forgive sewer forgiveness for Ann Control for $109.73, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Moving on to mayor council member reports. I have public officer training on there. I had Stacy put that on there so we could kind of have a recap if anybody had anything that came out to them and wanted to talk about a little bit. And then also I was thinking that we're going to be going into budgeting, and we're going to have a lot of boards that are coming to us, and I think we need to make sure that everyone on the board is certified before we say yes to the funds that they're asking for.
Do the boards know that they have to have that training then?
Yes. I know for sure a couple of the boards called me or messaged me directly asking if they had to take it. For example, the rec board. And I did tell them that yes, all boards have to take them. I've seen members of the boards. We had like one from the chamber was there. No one from the rec was there. But it needs to be everybody on the board, not just one person. So I think that needs to be a criteria for these boards when they're coming and asking for funds. And I think that covers us liability-wise as well, them being under our umbrella. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are on that.
I mean, it's a valid point because it
Yeah.
was put out in
Yeah,
statute
right.
that we had to comply by attending the training. So if they're in good standing
So are you gonna put letters out to the boards to tell them to come to the budget meeting?
I already have.
She has done that, but the other thing is like these aren't, like, I think it's by July 1st they have to be certified, so they have time
Oh,
if we
okay.
let them know now
Okay.
that everyone on their board.
So if they came to the meeting and they were not, that's okay, this time?
They have until July 1st, and there's online
But
training.
they're coming to the budget meeting,
Mhm.
they're not gonna be certified, that's okay this time?
Yes,
correct.
but they have to get certified by
Right.
July 1st.
Right.
Was anybody there from your board? From the planning board?
Planning and zoning. I didn't see anything.
As far as I know, at our meeting on last week, no one said anything about any training.
And I didn't see Margaret Williams there or anybody.
I don't know that, like the planning and zoning board, since they aren't able to, since they don't really accept funds or spend funds,
Oh.
I don't know that they're required.
Oh,
But we'll double check into it just to make sure.
Okay,
Can
that
can
doesn't
we
mean
do
it
that?
doesn't hurt to come.
So,
I will put it
and it's, I mean.
And you can
it's-
take it online,
Yes,
you can take the training online,
so.
just saying.
And then you get some kind of certificate?
But I think it's.
Ask Mr. Voss, cause isn't that correct,
yeah, he
Tom?
wasn't there, right?
If you get a,
But
if
he
you
did
get
it
a hold of
online.
these people, and
Which
I
is
call
big.
them, and they tell you when they're gonna have their next, it's kind of a Zoom sort of meeting. And then you call into this
Oh.
number, and then you're involved.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't get, it's not Zoom, because it wasn't on TV, it was through the phone.
Yeah, I'm familiar with how that works, yeah. Okay, thank you, Tom.
There is one coming up. I just saw an email on it today. This one says in person though. In Cheyenne. I can give you.
Oh, that's easy for you.
Yeah.
You got any
well-
unfinished business down there?
Yeah?
We'll find out some more information
Okay.
and will you be able to get back to her on that?
absolutely.
Fine, thank you.
They don't need to take it, they say.
Okay. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about from that?
I thought it was very good, I thought it was a good meeting,
I did too.
I learned. I'm sorry, Tom, that
I thought it was gonna be boring, but it was pretty, moved right along.
Yeah, it didn't seem like 4 hours. So,
yeah, I thought it was informative.
There was a lot of redundancy, I think, I think Annan's been to a few of the WAM meetings we've had in Cheyenne, and a lot of the stuff that they presented at this one has been into some of those web conferences.
if you go to that section,
Yes.
yeah, because sometimes you don't get to make all those sections. So, but no, I thought it was very good. We do have binders. Make sure you give the clerk a copy of your certificate because she'll need that. So that's all I wanted to bring up on that. So if there's nothing else, we'll move on to department head reports. Police Chief Derek Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I'll give you my calls for service for the last 2 weeks. Newcastle Police Department, 158. Weston County Sheriff's Office, 90. Austin Police Department, 22. Newcastle Volunteer Fire Department, 4. Upton Volunteer Fire Department, 2. Weston County Fire Protection District, 14. Newcastle Ambulance, 17. And Upton Ambulance, 2. The second item on my list, we talked about this probably about a month and a half ago, I'm guessing, the sale of our outdated firearms and ammunition. Councilman Butts requested that I get some information on the possibility of auctioning them off locally. We talked the other day and he gave me the name of a gentleman here in town to call who has a federal firearms license. And I talked to him a little bit, and he actually suggested that I go through Matt Ramsey. He can auction them off, and he has an FFL. So we may get better prices for them. We may not. I guess that's the risk you take. But I guess the difference is it's not going to a big corporation that doesn't really spend any tax dollars in our town. It's going to local people, or at least they have that option. Anyways, so he said he If we're interested in that option, he starts negotiating, he says at 10%. He would maybe be willing to go a little lower than that because he wants to get his foot in the door with the city of Newcastle, he says. So he'll take that for what it's worth. He'll do all the FFL paperwork, which will relieve the city of the liability of transferring them. And he said he usually does get better than the standard market value for them when he auctions them off because his auction reaches so many people. And he could do the ammunition as well. So I didn't know what everybody's thoughts about that was.
I know that they can do a set starting bid.
Like a reserve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to start at 0.
Right.
So you can at least get, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, there is a reserve, that's good.
Yeah, because I know I've done that when we've had auctions before.
Okay.
We set reserves on certain items, and I think you can do that, so
Good.
you're at least getting a good price to start with.
Right.
And then anything more is
Brand new.
bonus.
Right.
So I'm sure he can do that.
So you're talking Ramsey when we're saying he, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and if we were to use him, he does go quite far. His emails go quite far. And there's also grading auctions too, but they're not local.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like using local.
Yep.
Who does the negotiation? Is that something Dublin does if we're negotiating with Matt Ramsey on the amount of percentage that he's gonna take?
Absolutely. I'll volunteer double for anything.
How well do you want it, or how far do you want to get that foot in the door, right?
Yeah. Frankly, Chief, I think me negotiating for the payment, let's say, for the sale of guns is probably not my expertise.
Yeah.
Just
I
percent.
can work with you a little bit on that.
Go down the floor.
I'm sure you can.
I think that's probably your expertise on what an auctioneer for weapons would normally get.
In that case, I move that Chief Thompson negotiate with Matt Ramsey for the auction of the firearms and ammunition.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to speak with Matt Ramsey's auction. Any further discussion?
I hope you get a good price, Chief,
I hope so too.
and I hope you get him to shave a little bit off that 10%.
Do you want me to bring it back to the council with what number we finally landed on and make sure everybody's good with it next time around before we actually move forward with the sale?
Now, if you have this motion, Pat, you just do it.
Just do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I said.
Well, let's put that in a motion if we can, council, that he's allowed to accept as well. Accept
Okay.
the.
Can we get an amendment on that?
I amend my motion to add that the chief can accept the terms of the negotiation.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second of the amendment. Or any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay.
Thank you, council. And the last item I have is just a short update on the K-9 program. Officer Moran will start training with the K-9 May 1st. So it's a 6-week training program. It should be done about June 15th. So that's when we should see the K-9 in action. And then, Stacy, did we need to discuss this contract?
Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to talk about it here or
Okay.
if Dublin was gonna talk about it, but the council does have, the packets of the lease agreement for the dispatch.
Were you gonna cover that, Dublin, or do you-
We might as well bring it up, we can talk about it. I guess the first question is that, I assume this hasn't been signed by chance?
I thought it was, but apparently not, because nobody seems to have a copy of it.
I mean, it wouldn't have been right out of the gate because they wouldn't have had the ability to actually sign as an entity until it was created. So, I think what the best course of action would be to, what do you recall what we were doing in the, basically in the interim, if there was some sort of payment or if we were going to continue to pay until it was moved over? Do you recall that?
No, I don't, as far as the city, what the city was doing?
Yeah, because it was kind of up in the air, I think, as to how that was going to be paid until this lease was in place. I recall. I don't know if there's any more discussion on that.
Pretty much hashed out, I think, by the time that I ended up taking over. We really hadn't discussed it any farther, to my recollection. But I guess just looking at it, they weren't really, I mean, they had some furniture in the space for a couple months, but they weren't using any electricity, they weren't occupying the space, they weren't doing any of that. So I guess I would propose that we prorate it for this year at, I guess there's essentially 5 months left until this would normally terminate or until it would roll, the anniversary date would roll over. So if we did 5/12 of $7,500, which is the annual cost, we would come up with $3,125 for this year, and then they would pay full price in August.
$3,100.
And then we would just re-execute the dates, but with a year starting in 2024 for the 10-year period to 2034, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that would be, that's the way my simple mind sees it anyways. I don't know legally what.
Well, legally, that's the thing. We don't really have anything in place. Yeah, I think that would be fine.
So we can update the dates in it for this year, and I can take it to them and propose we pay 5/12 of the year, essentially, 5 months of the year.
For whatever they actually were in there.
Yeah. Because they have occupied that space at this point. They started on the 6th of March. They moved in, so.
Does the council have any thoughts on that?
Reasonable.
Permit sheet.
I guess, fine.
So we have a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we pay $3,125. Is that right?
We don't pay.
I mean, they pay us.
That-
Sorry.
I think we want the motion for chief to take it back, right?
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That you take it back to them? The chief takes it back to the,
The joint powers board. The Weston, Newcastle, Upton, whatever, joint powers board. The many named joint powers board.
Yeah.
and pay the 5/12s, is that what we're saying? In the motion?
For him to take that back.
Yeah,
to-
yeah, yeah.
To see.
Something like that. Is that okay?
I second the motion.
We have a motion.
Whatever it was.
We have a motion and second for the chief to take back the $3,125 and something, right, just $3,125.
Yeah, there's no one
Back to
something.
the board for discussion. Any further discussion?
Yeah, so they're prorating this from the date that the building was occupied,
March
5/6,
March
or March 6th,
Mm-hmm.
so 3/6, right? Until the end of the fiscal year, basically.
This,
August 15th.
yeah, this,
Yeah, just-
contract was written from August to August, so, yeah, until
Okay.
August. Yeah.
Okay, understood. So the lease agreement is from August until August. So we're just prorating it for the time that they're actually in there until
August
the
15th.
lease starts again in August. On August 15th.
Correct.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
So it's $7,500 a year,
Yeah, that's what,
and that includes utilities?
yeah. And I thought that was brought before the council.
It was.
That's $625 a month. Once you get the power off that, that's
500.
less than that. So is this negotiable down the road, or
Not for the next
Wasn't
10
there-
years.
10 years, huh?
There was a year look back or something, right? No one
Yeah.
discussed
There
that.
was something
Yeah,
where
that's
we
what
would
I said.
look back at it in a year to see the
Right.
difference in utilities and all of that. So we are gonna look.
Because you
back
don't
at
have
it.
a month's utilities yet.
Correct. So, we can look back at it.
Pretty cheap.
Well, and we're going into it in the,
Line.
well, in the summer, we're not gonna have,
You're not gonna have what?
well, like,
Whether you like
What do you
it.
think an air conditioner runs on?
yeah, yeah,
Well, we have the opportunity to look back at it.
okay.
So,
And that was some of the concern too, as we needed kind of a
Look
long
at-
term, because
to
you
look,
gotta
to
account for heat, in
right.
the winter, air conditioning,
Air
in the summer.
conditioners,
so
yeah,
We wanted several months to look at, which I understand what you're saying, we're not gonna really see the heat side of it as much where we're starting out.
Right.
It's been pretty warm,
right.
but we will see the air conditioning side of it, so.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All those opposed, same sign.
Guess I wasn't paying attention when that went down, huh?
Well, if we have a chance to look back at it after we get some bills.
Because don't you have an air conditioner running in the computer room all the time?
Yeah, there's a mini split in there that has to run, because that server room gets extremely hot.
And then there's water and sewer.
Be quite a
Right.
bit more.
So, yeah. That's all gonna be combined in the city bill, though, right?
Right. But you
But
can
still-
Yeah, well,
tell,
still
you'll
should
be
be
able to
broke down.
tell.
Yeah, we should be able to still look a little bit. I mean, if there's a huge increase, we'll know.
Yeah. And that was all I had down there.
Did you have anything on the K-9
Yeah, just the training starts
on Monday?
May 1st.
May 1st, sorry.
Run for 6 weeks.
I saw a picture of Kelly and the dog on Facebook.
Oh yeah, she's pretty proud of it.
He looks like he's pure dynamite. What's energetic kind of?
He's very energetic from what I understand.
It was interesting when he was removed. There's quite a few people that will remember my comments at the time because it came after Ogden reportedly, I guess you should say, because it was reported and then he claimed that didn't happen, but we all saw the letters where he made the chairmans of the board sign that we're going to do this and that and the other thing and we're not going to disobey, and we're not going to disobey. I love that. I love that part. We're not going to disobey. Pretty much. That's what I got from it. Reading it is, aye, Captain, we will follow your rule. It kind of made me look a little different at Driscoll. And then this year's made
Well,
it
and you
even-
didn't just look different. Come on. You gave him a nickname even.
I gave him a nickname. He was saved in my phone still to this day as Dictator Driscoll. And I still don't feel bad about that because Weston County hasn't seen him once leading up to this session.
Moving on to City Attorney Dublin Hughes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, we have one housekeeping thing to deal with the Collins Communication lease. After the lease was executed, there had been a payment, I believe it was on June 1st of 2023 in the amount of $2,600 for basically what I think in their minds was just trying to pay for a year. They didn't send any written request, from what I can tell. I think that's correct, right, Stacy? So they weren't trying to renew. They basically were just paying to hopefully keep the partnership going. So now with the new lease that's been executed, which starts on, I believe it started in February. What ends up happening is then they basically are double paying on the lease for a certain amount of months if they aren't at least reimbursed or given a credit of some kind. So they're paid through to June 1st of 2023, or excuse me,
24.
May 31st of 2024, excuse me. And with that, if they were to pay with that, I think it was the 2000s, is it 2,604, Stacy, do you recall? I
That
think
does
it's
sound close. I don't know.
2,604. Well, either way, I'll get that loaded out, but I think what, in the council's discretion, the best thing to do would be to give them a credit for the months of February, March, April, and May, and still have that lease stay in effect, so that on May 31st, the lease that we basically issued, they just pay, I think it was $2,064 is what I calculated for that year. And basically then, from then on, the lease would just continue.
So we need a motion for Collins to be credited for February, March, April, May, until May 1st, or May 31st.
Yes, and then also to have their first year payment. I mean, for the credit, right? It would be, they would just end up paying $2,064 with those credits taken off on their first year payment.
Do you have a motion on the floor?
So trying to put it into a motion, right? So they've paid $2,600.
$604, yes.
$2,604, and then we're trying to credit them until the contract starts, the lease contract starts the beginning of June.
Yes, so, or, excuse me, February. So they go all the way to May, and ours started in February. So what we're basically doing is we're giving them credit on the next year's payment, because technically right now they have paid for up till May 31st of 2024. So then February, March, April, and May, what would end up happening is then they're technically liable under this lease, even though they already paid for what they thought. I know that there's no terms to that, they just send a check basically. But it would be a pretty decent argument to say that they just, we accepted the check, we cashed it.
How much more do they owe us then from February to May 31st?
It would be a credit.
So February to May 31st, seeing that they
Right.
paid,
Right.
I calculated that out to be, for the difference, I think it was,
No, they owe us more. Right? For those months?
so
They
we could say that they owe us more because they entered into this lease, but by accepting that prior check, we also have basically entered into a year lease. So they have a legal right under
Oh.
that as well. That's sort of the issue.
Oh,
Instead
okay.
of making this an argument with them as to how this will be done, we basically would just say, we'll honor that payment. And then for the months February, March, April, and May, we would deduct, I think, for $3,100 per year, divided by 12 is $258.
A month.
And then $258 times 4, I think is what the 516, right? Or wait.
Two thousand and
2012, right?
That was the year 2012. My
That's
calendar.
what it is.
For a law student, he's a pretty good cipher.
Clearly, I'm not that great at math.
I have a great idea, Dalton. Why don't you give me an example of what this motion would look like, and I'd be happy to make it.
That's kind of like what Pam had to do for me.
Well, Stacy, do you have all that down?
I'm glad I have it recorded.
Okay.
So, that's what it was, I think.
Just move what Stacy recorded.
No, see, we just went through that public official training, and I have to make this motion. I
Okay.
can't just say,
Just
So
go for it.
moved.
Go for it, champ. I want to watch this.
He took it on.
Dublin, would it all, I mean, just I'm just curious, would it at all be possible to just amend the current lease agreement to be effective June 1st?
Yeah, we could do that as well.
2024.
It would just take
See.
the executing of the lease again is what I was trying to avoid.
Right,
but,
okay, I just didn't know which would be easier.
It
this is
honestly might be
easier.
easier than having me actually calculate it out.
So 258 times 4, right, is 1,032.
that's what I got.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I got too.
And so you would just take that off of the 3,100, right?
So,
2068, excuse me. 2,068 for the first year of the lease agreement that we've now entered into.
so I move that we prorate what Collins Communication has already paid us for the lease for February, March, April, and May. So they owe us, or they will pay us when the lease starts in June, $2,068.
For the first year, their first payment will be $2,068.
So for the first year of the lease, their payment will be $2,068, and then it will go to the yearly lease of
$3,100.
$3,100 thereafter.
I'm really proud of you. That was good.
Oh, that was hard work.
Second.
We have a motion and second for prorating February, March, April, and May with Collins, and June 1st, starting the $2,068 until the new lease for $3,100. Any discussion?
That was a lot of hard work, Madam Mayor. I'm ready to vote on it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Council. One other thing I wanted to bring up, I have checked with the Southern District, Federal Southern District of Idaho to see if there were any bankruptcy filings for Greg Hoskins or UBC Precast. As of right now, there are none. And that would be the only place that he would be able to file. The other thing I wanted to bring to the council's attention is I did find one attorney, or I should say law firm, that does foreign judgments in Idaho. Their name is Racine Olson. They gave me an estimate of $1,000 for the entry of the judgment, the foreign judgment, excuse me, and then for the cost to collect after the fact. Instead of, if they were to do it for us, it'd be $275 an hour for the attorney services. As of right now, I have done a property request with the county treasurer to see what Mr. Hoskins owns in the area, and I have not found anything as of yet. The business side of all this is that I've also went on and looked at UBC Precast, their website again, and as of right now on their computer website it says that they aren't closed again. So that could be on and off, I'm not entirely sure. Their phones are still working, but there obviously isn't an answer. So it's kind of in the council's discretion as to what they want to do moving forward. And I realize that that doesn't clarify all that much, but it is what it is when it comes to collecting judgments.
We need a couple of boys from Chicago.
$1,000 for them to file isn't that much from what we've already got invested in it. To try to get, if there's a way to try to get back some of our money that we've invested in this, plus now we're gonna have to pay part of that grant process back. I still think that we need to pursue what's available.
And I think if we find that he does own anything, we can put a lien on it.
One of the things that's curious about how he basically certified himself with the Secretary of State is that it's actually his individual name instead of an LLC or.
So he's a sole proprietor?
It's a what they call a certificate of authentication, I believe is what they call it in Idaho, which
He's a sole proprietor
it's,
in Wyoming.
I assume it's sole proprietor, and his business name is just DBA, UBC Precast. So he technically is actually the one who's liable under the judgment.
So Dublin, did you say that you had found that he had done this to others?
What is the group, Greg? I can't.
The land water,
The acronym.
LWCF.
Yeah. They
So
said
are
that
the-
another city in Montana had done work
With him?
and they had also filed a judgment. They didn't say exactly as to when it was.
Do we know how that's gone?
They haven't collected on anything. One of the issues with that is I think when they discussed it, they stated that they had a judgment against the company. Now, if you have a judgment against a company, it's not its own entity, then it kind of falls on him in a way, but our judgment is against Greg Hoskins. So it's hard to say really. It's kind of a gray area in terms of whether or not we would end up collecting something or not.
I agree with Ronnie that $1,000 and what we already have isn't that much.
But then it was $275 an hour.
An hour.
So I mean, depending on how much time the law firm has to put into this, that could start to rack up to a significant sum.
It's racing.
Well, we could give him a cap. Once you've reached this, don't work anymore.
10 hours and that's it.
Greg Hoskins, HOSKINS.
What would they be doing, Dublin, for $275 an hour? What goes on after this is put into the books?
They'd be filing liens on any properties that they could find under his name, basically. If he has any.
Would they be looking for that property? In other
Yes,
words,
they would be looking for those properties.
So they'd be spending time at the courthouse and all that? So it gets significant.
I have a question too, Dublin. So you did kind of an initial look into seeing whether he had any properties in that specific county.
Yeah, so it's Bingham County, Idaho. One of the issues with the treasurer that I found is that you have to go through basically a multiple form acceptance request for to see his properties, which is interesting because I assume I could walk in there and write it down and they would give it to me. I mean, you go to the county treasurer here, I can go and see whoever owns anything, so it's odd. I have to admit it's odd, but.
So I mean, if he doesn't own any property or he doesn't have any deeded property in that specific county, then there's really no leverage for us to make any gains because he doesn't have anything, any collateral to put towards what he took from us.
Well, he's not an LLC, and he's a sole proprietor, and he'd be under a social security number.
And if he does have anything, there's probably liens against it already.
Yeah.
If he lives in the county right next to it, then our stuff isn't any good? Our judgment? You named a specific county.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like if somebody got a judgment here in Wyoming against, like you or me, and it was for Weston County, but if we moved up to Crook County, they'd still come get us, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but the thing with that is that this isn't a foreign this is a foreign judgment, that isn't.
Okay.
So someone getting a judgment from you or me, right, in Wyoming, they'd have the judgment in Wyoming and then they'd certify it in wherever it needed.
But we don't have that.
We need it to be filed in Idaho and recognized by a court in Idaho.
Then it covers the whole state?
Yes.
Oh, and that's cost us $1,000.
Yep.
Plus $2.75 an hour.
For the collection part of it, yes.
So the thing that's hanging me up here, Dublin, is like this man stole from us,
Right.
basically.
Right.
So I feel like he should be held criminally liable for basically stealing $32,000 from us, or was it more?
36,000 change.
$36,000 that he stole from us, but civilly leveraging any money from him doesn't seem like it's gonna pan out at this point, based on what you've told us, you know. So, I mean, I would like to see him, you know, get in trouble for what he did. But if it's gonna cost the citizens of our town a bunch of money to chase money that we're not potentially even gonna get back from this, I don't see why we would pursue it personally. I would like to see this man in trouble, but I don't think that we're gonna get anything out of him. So it just seems like it would be kind of frivolous on our part to spend a bunch of money on what ifs, you know.
Could we add our legal fees to the judgment?
The judgment stands at the 48,000.
Yeah.
In terms of what the judge the foreign judgment judge in Idaho would say, I can't speculate on that. I have no clue what they would say. They might say absolutely not. They might say absolutely.
I mean, it seems to me like stealing $36,000 would be a felony in almost any state, right?
So
like
you
if
hate
you
to
just grab $36,000 off the counter of a
you hate
store
to
and
just
ran out
not
the
do
door.
anything and let him get away with it. But then you also hate to spend any more money that we're gonna have to
Maybe
pay.
not recoup,
Right.
when we could maybe move on and just try to get our bathroom built, which
Right.
is something we're gonna discuss at the standing committee reports.
Right.
It's not on here.
I don't know. This is a kind of a hard decision to make.
Well, if it pleases the council, I have not received the judgment signed by the judge yet. I assume that I know they're very busy as of right now. When I get that back, and I know that the judgment's signed as and approved as to form by the judge, in the meantime, I can keep looking and try to find more, see if there is hopefully a house or another business or something to that effect.
Would you look in other counties?
Yes.
His Cadillac.
So I would move that we table this until the April 1st city council meeting, when we can discuss it in greater detail, and hopefully Dublin has some answers for us.
I second it.
We have a motion second to table the conversation with UBC precast. If any further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
I should go out, yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Council. Also, one more thing, I would ask the council to allow me to amend the Joint Powers Board lease for the dates. Seeing that we will need to put that into 2024.
Do we have a motion to amend the dispatch lease agreement, joint power board agreement?
Well, I move we allow Dublin to do his work on the joint powers board, whatever he sees fit there for the leaf change.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for City Attorney Hughes to amend the dispatch joint powers board lease. Any further discussion?
What date did you need to amend it to?
I just need to change on the first page. Well, I need to look through all of it, obviously, but June 2024 on the first page, so that when it's entered into, and September 2024, or excuse me, 2023, and the August 31st, 2033, and those will all go to 2024 and 2034.
You could put 10,500 plus utilities. They probably won't accept it then.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Council. That's all I have.
Okay. Any further questions for City Attorney? Moving on to City Clerk Treasurer Stacy Haggerty.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I have is to request the closure of City Hall for Good Friday at noon, as we have in the past, on March 28th.
I move that we close City Hall on March 28th at noon for, did you say Good Friday? For Good Friday.
I second that.
It said March 28th.
28th is Thursday.
Yeah.
29th.
Oh, sorry, 29th. I apologize.
I move
Thank
that we close City Hall at noon on March 29th for Good Friday.
Clear violation of church and state.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to close City Hall at noon on March 29th for Good Friday. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you. And I guess just one other thing, just a reminder of the workshop for budget on April 8th, starting at 5 o'clock. And that's all I have.
Any questions for City Clerk? Thank
I
you.
do have a question. In the little pages that you sent in the email, okay, you got, and one of them is the claims against the city, and then there's ones with the little 4 lines on, and it's, and one of them I noticed in the sewer that we haven't spent very much, like $5,556 or so. And then over here on the last side, yet to be received, was $1,400,000, and we're pretty far into this budget. And how come our sewer is
And you're
so?
talking about the revenue?
Yeah.
So I believe that part of the revenue side would be for grants that we are anticipating coming in
Okay.
And then also on that, for some reason, it doesn't really allocate correctly until the end of the month what we've received for utility billing. Because all of that utility billing stuff goes over to the accounting side at the end of the month when we roll it over.
Okay. I just was wondering why that was so, lopsided. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for everything you did to help get that class set up.
Absolutely.
All right, moving
Stacey,
I
on.
think,
I'm gonna be out of town on the 8th and 9th, so I won't make it.
I'm
So
gonna be
that's
out of town
The budget
too.
workshop.
Okay, so that's 2 of our council members gone on that day.
I have an operation on that morning on my hip.
Okay, so
All right, we better.
we better make
What
it a
about
date.
next Monday? Of course, you've already sent the notes out.
I have.
I'm glad, because I really would like to be here.
I'm gonna be on a slab in the hospital.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna have you on some pretty good drugs that would probably make it so you can make any legal
Oh, I
decisions.
knew there was an upside on this.
Are you getting a replacement?
On my hip, yeah. On April
Is
the
the
8th.
22nd too far away?
The 22nd is pushing it a little bit.
And if we did like
Now,
a,
what'd you think? I should've got my brain too.
what if we did like a Tuesday?
John said a
The
lobotomy.
25th, I won't be here. I have to pick up Christmas.
No, for
I can-
next,
Okay, for
next
you, Jim.
Monday, we're looking at next Monday.
Yeah, I can probably
I don't
send
remember
someone
saying
else
it.
to pick them up.
I kind of losing
The
my mind.
Wednesday.
Is anybody open to any other day of the week other than Monday? Could we do it just a different?
27th? Did you say that? Wednesday?
Could we do it like Wednesday and Thursday, and then I can hobble in, I'll bet you by then.
No,
When is your
how about the 27th of March?
next Wednesday?
Oh, okay.
That would work for me.
Does that work for everybody, the 27th?
Darren?
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Would you be
What
able to
difference
call
is
everybody
Monday or
something
Wednesday?
to
lot.
do?
The 27th.
Time makes a lot of difference.
It's gonna be our
It'd
first.
be nice to do it at noon or 1 o'clock. So we're not here all night.
So,
Oh, okay.
so the
You don't have a job.
27th at 5 o'clock?
Where's John?
She'll get in touch with all
She's already
the people
here.
we sent letters out to. Hopefully.
I mean, we could do it during the day.
What day do we come up with?
Wouldn't have to be at 5 o'clock.
27th, 5 p.m.
I can do,
Daytime?
I can do,
So, and
I'm not here.
I am happy to contact all the service providers. In their initial letters, we normally give them till April 1st to get
So do
get
you
us
wanna
their
go to the 3rd?
documentation.
Do we want to move it to the 3rd? That gives them extra
That
time.
does give them a little extra time.
That'd be fine with me. Or the 2nd. Or the- We have council on the 1st, correct?
Mhm.
April Fool's Day. So maybe none of us show up on that day.
Does the 3rd work for everybody?
April 3rd,
Yes.
Yeah.
instead of the 27th?
Yes.
Changes.
Oh,
Does that work for you, Ann? Okay.
So
Oh,
we're-
we just changed
what
it to
time?
April 3rd.
Yeah,
same.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
I'm running out of paper here.
Okay. That gives,
I'm just
Clerk.
worried that we won't have the service provider stuff.
yeah. So,
Well, if you could call them tomorrow,
The number.
Yes.
3rd to the next, whatever, that's
No,
not that many
I think by the
days.
3rd we'll be okay.
Oh, okay.
Because they're supposed to have it by the 1st anyway.
Right.
okay.
We're just
Okay,
worried about-
so we're not doing it on the 8th.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Moving on to Public Works Supervisor Greg Stump.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First thing on the agenda, The RFQ, we put out the request for qualifications for the 2025 improvements project. Tomorrow's the deadline to get their RFQs in, the engineering firms. What this is we request information from engineering firms proving that they have the qualifications and the best qualified qualifications for the project. We're required to have 3 engineering firms submit for this. We need to decide how we want to select the engineering firm. Interim Engineer Bartlett and I were talking today that him and I would be on the committee, but we were wondering if the council would like anybody else to be on the committee, such as a council member, to help decide who the engineering firm is we'll hire to do the 2025 improvements project.
Wouldn't that be part of the personnel committee?
These are primarily water sewer projects, so.
I mean, if you guys feel like you need somebody, I'd love to be involved, just so there's something to be learned there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I would like to.
You and me and
not
Tyrell on that
know,
sewer
because
committee,
we're
let's
really
get
looking
you
for.
can we?
So,
I don't think you need all three.
it'd be wise to have a council member involved in it.
Well, depending on what time you're gonna do it, Donnie and I, this is the sewer committee right here, we'll go with you on it.
Okay?
You'll just let us know when there's any meetings or anything you need to be involved with.
Yep.
Cool.
We did receive emails today from Carl Brown on our rate study. We're gonna have a virtual meeting with him to go over some of the data and kind of iron things out a little bit as far as we've gotten so far.
Cool.
The,
I was wondering where that was.
yeah, no, he's been working on it. He did get us some information back, but he does have.
So
some
he's gonna
specifics.
give you some info
Yeah,
at this meeting.
he already sent it to Stacy and I, but there's some blanks and some misinformation, so we're gonna.
Summer's coming on.
Yeah, we're working virtually
Dry.
as soon as we can to meet with him and go through the rest of the
Okay.
stuff that he's requested. So it is moving forward. Pickleball court, we did speak with the donor. I request that the council accept the donation of land for the pickleball court.
Yeah, have you checked it, is there any liens or anything against it, or is it clear title?
I believe so, yeah.
So-
Interim Engineer Bartlett was working on that, and he said we were good to go.
So this is, when we, in the old business, when we end up amending our, order of affairs, really. The Parks Committee did meet, and it was, the recommendation of the Parks Committee that we accept the, donation of the land from Eileen Vickers for the pickleball court. So, I would make a motion that we accept the the donation of land from Eileen Vickers for the pickleball court.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the donation of land for pickleball. Any further discussion?
I just think that it's a really wonderful gesture that Mrs. Vickers did all of the improvements and everything and is transferring the land to the city. So I guess at the next council meeting, maybe we could give her a certificate of recognition for donating the land to us for the pickleball court.
At one point, she wanted to stay anonymous, but
Well, maybe
At
we can ask her
At the
if
same
she wants to
time.
be recognized.
We'll send her a blank piece of paper.
I'll see her tomorrow night.
We can still send her adjuster, but I just
Yes,
don't know if
yeah.
she would like it out that way, so.
Understood.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Pickleball.
Thank you. The next item I have is the RV dump site. This is the third time we've called in locates for that area to begin to work on it, and this is the third time something else has come up. We found 2 leaks last week that we're working on this week. As soon as we get these 2 leaks finished, we will be working on the RV dump. We have 1 leak at the Cactus Drive Court main line before their meter, and we found a meter that we cannot shut off in an old pit without shutting off the water main, and the bottom's leaking on the meter. As soon as we take care of these 2, we are moving on to the RV dump site.
So, I had a couple of citizens come forward and they're just wanting to know if the RV dump site is gonna be functional by the camping season this summer. Cause everybody's
Pending no more leaks, yes, Councilman.
excited
We have
to
a
be able
goal.
to use that facility.
Our goal is to get it up and running in the next month.
So they can dump, but they can't wash out right now. And then I did talk with a Stump about this and a citizen, and there are areas surrounding us that have free dumps, plus they also have pay dumps, and there's 2 free ones in Gillette, which I know that this is an inconvenience, but there's also 1, 2, 3, there's 4 in Custer, and which are pay ones, and then there are 1 on 385, which is a pay dump site as well. But that they could use until, if they want to do dump and wash out.
So the
Until-
4 in Custer are pay,
They're all pay, yeah.
and then the 1.
I don't know what the cost is, I just know they're pay. In Gillette, there's 2 that are free, and 1 is off of, looks like 51, and 1 is off of 59. And then in Custer, there's 2 right in the town of Custer, and then there's 1 down 385. There's 3 in Custer, and there's 1 down 385. And those are all pay.
Hopefully we don't have the Cousin Eddie way of doing it in town somewhere.
I hope not either. But they can dump here in Newcastle, they just can't wash out until the city crew can.
Is it just that frost-free hydrant that's damaged?
Yeah. Below ground, so we have to dig everything up, and while we're digging it up, we need to install a backflow preventer and stuff like that to protect the water system. So
Good idea.
we have some other improvements we're doing at the same time. We have everything ready, all we need to do is dig it. So hopefully by the end of this week, first of next week, we'll be digging on it. One of the leaks we have going right now is gonna be a bit complicated to fix. I foresee it going 3 and 4 days long, pretty easy. We've found a mess. The other one, it's on a fairly new line, so hopefully that one will go smooth and we can get kicked on to the other one as soon as possible. Is there any other questions on the reports?
I had a question on the claims against the city coming up. There's a lady named Dana, and she sends you a ball valve for over $6,600.
That's several ball valves, Councilman. Those are 2-inch brass.
I kept trying to envision what we needed a ball valve that cost $6,600. So that was for several.
We have a pressure reducing valve that's gonna
So
cost us
happy to hear that.
$19,900. So
Now, right below that, there was $2,900 on something I didn't understand. It didn't say what it was.
We restocked on our 1.5 and 2-inch brass fittings,
Oh, okay. All right.
primarily for polyethylene size pipe and PVC size pipe. It's kind of a specialty deal. Data Kepner is the only place that we can get it at now. So we usually order about every 5 years.
So
stock
Dana
for these ones.
Kepner's not a lady?
No,
Okay.
no, sir, it's a company. You get into the 1.5 and 2-inch fittings, which we're working on a 2-inch line this week.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, the cost of the fittings are pretty high, and they significantly jumped since the last time we ordered this. Last time we placed a similar order, it was $15,000 total. And this time it was $68,000.
I had a question too about, so the South Summit retaining wall,
Yes,
the historic retaining wall. You got an estimate for $218,400.
correct.
Have you been in contact with any of the folks that were looking at trying to find some grant funds?
No, not yet. We have been working on a couple other things. We finally got some of our grant, we got all of our grants submitted for now. So yeah, next move is to contact and make sure they want to move forward with the project. If they do, then we'll be looking at quick claim deeds for the land and then funding from somewhere. So.
Thank you.
Great. At one point in your reports, Greg, you said the DEQ requested that you get an outside source to check on our water?
The PFAS and PFOS, please don't make me tell you what it is.
Well, but anyway, they requested it, and then that means, how were we getting our reports before?
PFAS and PFOS is an unregulated contaminant right now. It's a contaminant of concern. They are, EPA and DEQ are both wanting to sample our source water to see if we have it in our system. And what they need, they're looking at actually regulating it. They're collecting their information from water systems right now to see if they have it and how extensive it is. PFAS and PFOS it's a fairly new thing. We've had it around for years, just never thought it was that much of an issue until recent years. I don't know if you've heard about the firefighting foams that are contaminating soil. That's one of the places you get PFAS. There are several other places. I am building I've got a couple trainings coming up. After I attend a couple of these trainings, get a little more information, I'll make a presentation. I can show the council kind of what's going on with this.
Okay, so we don't even know what's gonna cost us yet to do.
Right now, EPA and DEQ are picking up the tab. So,
That's what my next question was. If they're gonna request it, they ought to pick up the
yeah,
tab.
the only thing they don't pay for is our labor to do the sampling and send it back to them.
Can we still drink the water?
Yes. We sampled for PFAS 2 years ago at our source. And they were checking for parts per billion, and we had none.
Oh, great.
Now they've lowered the limit to, and please don't quote me, I do not remember what it is, but it's parts per trillion is what they're looking at this time. I don't remember the specific
It's getting a
number.
little frivolous, isn't it?
It's getting pretty nitpicky.
So,
That's what they want.
the thing is, Councilman Voss says PFOS and PFOA are called forever chemicals, and they're used in pretty much everything. Even the No Glide dental floss has PFOS in it. So I mean,
Definitely tape, Gore-Tex, any waterproofing as these cans.
yeah, hair products,
Phones, paper.
everything.
Right now, we are slated to do the unregulated contaminant, it's UCMR, unregulated contaminant monitoring requirements in 2025. We've send in all our information to EPA and to the EPA contractor that's gonna be administering it for EPA. But yeah, we don't have to sample again until 2025. They send us the sample kits, we sample for it, send it back in.
Are you talking?
DEQ also wants to do the same thing, so.
So we're kind of getting a jump on it by starting now, and the state is gonna pay for the same thing.
All right, that was my question, who's gonna pay for all that?
Yep.
It sounds like if we eat enough of this stuff, it'll preserve us, you know?
Yeah, it's in a lot of things.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for city supervisor? Okay. Moving on to old business, ordinance number 1, series 2024, an ordinance amending the order of business for the second reading. So looking it over, you changed the, what did you change? D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K? Pretty much the
I
order.
think it was
F,
F down.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking for A, can we do invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance? Since, I mean,
It's whatever the council wants.
I think it should be, the pledge should be on there like it is on the one we have now.
I mean, the invocation could be taken off. It could just be the Pledge of Allegiance. It could be whatever.
I like the
council-
invocation, so I know it's not just up to me, but.
I do too.
Okay.
Yeah, well, how, a consensus, do we want an invocation in our meeting? What do you think?
I would.
There's nobody back there.
I will say yes.
I do.
I would say yes.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Clearly. yeah.
Who's gonna do it? We gonna elect a chaplain or?
We can invite churches to come, or I can do it, or we can take turns, it doesn't matter. But I do think we should have invocation and Pledge of Allegiance on there, unless we do an A and a B, and then change it all, but I think that invocation and Pledge of Allegiance,
It's okay with me. I
Does
think
that
it's
work?
fine, Yeah.
or do they have to have their own line item?
Frankly, I don't think that would cause any sort of issue having them in one line item, so.
Alright, so ordinance number 1, 2024, an ordinance amending the order of business for the town of Newcastle, be it ordained by the city council of the city of Newcastle, Weston County, Wyoming. Section 2-4 of the Newcastle, Wyoming Municipal Code be amended, reading in its entirety as follows. Do we have a motion with the amendment of A for invocation and Pledge of Allegiance and the changes that the attorney made on our behalf from our first reading?
Yeah.
I move that we accept ordinance number 1, series 2024, an ordinance amending the order of business on second reading with amendments.
I second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Okay, ordinance number 1, 2024, passed second reading. Standing committee
So we
reports.
still have another reading.
I know we have the Parks Committee, but before we start that, just wanted to make sure everybody got their new standing committee appointments where it shows the new board committee. There's 2 of the council members on that now, Councilman Owens and Councilman Stevenson. I would like a third if anyone is interested on being on that committee. Okay, show that. Tom Voss volunteered to be on that committee. I know the Parks Committee met, and if you're okay, I'd like to give an update on the bike pump park before you give your update. So we got the final draft from Matt with Tallgrass on the bike pump park. It passed with the Parks Committee, and it passed with the bike pump. Well, not really passed. It was, I guess, all good to go with all the Parks Committee and the bike pump park or vent sprockets. I know that city has a sign that they can put out on that property that shows the future home of. And are you able to print off a big thing of it? That picture?
We can, but it's a metal sign, yes.
No, the drawing
Map.
from
Kind of the map.
Tallgrass.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could do that, that would be great. But we're gonna try to get vent sprockets and the refinery, since they're a key holder in the donations as of so far. Kind of like a little picture of everybody next to that sign once the city puts it in. I just gotta set up dates that works with everybody. And then I guess just keep moving forward, and after some of this work is done with grants that we could probably apply for, we could, once they're not used for other priority projects, we could try to apply for to get this project done. So it's moving along.
I drove down Salem and I'm sorry, I couldn't see anything.
There's nothing there yet. Not
No,
like
I
moving
know, but we
along.
talked about it last week and you said, yeah, you can see some stuff down there. Or-
Well, it's Justin from Vent Sprockets has been kind of going in there and looking at stuff. He spoke with Greg
Right.
Stump in regards to getting some dirt over there and things to that factor.
I didn't
So
get
it's-
out of the car, but
So it's nothing really where the skate park would be.
Right.
It's more on the bike pump park.
I just couldn't see anything.
So maybe when they're there, they can kind of walk us through.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
So the Parks Committee did convene. We already covered the recommendation of the Parks Committee that we accept the donated land from Mrs. Vickers. Then the second thing that we discussed was it's the recommendation of the Parks Committee that we move forward with turning back the grant funds that we got for the UBC precast building, and that we have Public Works Supervisor Stumpf put back in for another grant so that we can get a building built on site. So so this would include rebidding the project as a built on site building instead of a precast building. And we would recommend rebidding the project with alternatives such as poured walls or block walls instead of a precast building. But I was involved with the construction of the pressure control stations that are still in existence all around the town in our different pressure control zones. And they're built out of arcs forms which are insulated, and then they're poured in concrete. If we moved forward with a project like that, then we could possibly have an all-seasons bathroom at Dow Park, so they could keep it heated enough where people would still be able to utilize it during the winter time. If we chose to do that, you know, but we just felt like it would be comparable, instead of paying $116,000 for a precast building, to have a local contractor build us a building on site to match the footprint of what's there currently, and it would still be a construction type where we wouldn't run into the mold issues and things of that nature. We'd be able to build a pretty bomb-proof building that could last for many, many years to come. So with that, I would make the motion that we move forward with rebidding the project as a built-on-site building and move forward with putting in for grants associated with the building of that building.
And returning the funds.
Returning the
And
funds.
returning the funds.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second for rebuilding, re-giving, and everything else. Any further discussion?
Something else we need to throw out there is the grant that we put in for the precast building a while ago. The reason we would want to put in for another grant is we potentially get more money towards the construction of the bathroom.
So we're just scrapping that and starting again, pretty much.
Due to inflation.
And just for the council's information, there's a pre-application that has to be done by May 15th. And the application is due in November, so this gives us a little time to prepare the plans, because we will have to produce our own plans. I believe interim engineer can do the majority of the work. This also gives us the ability, as we touched on, that our grant funds are based on pre-COVID money, pre-COVID prices, where we've seen upwards of 40 and 50% increases. So this gives us a little more money versus still working with the money we currently have.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
And then, like the mayor said, she came in and talked about the bike park pump track. And I believe that the Parks Committee is behind that project and we want to see it move forward. And that's all I have for the Parks Committee.
Thank you.
We also had the Water and Sewer Committee met as well. We don't have any recommendations for the council at this juncture, but we do want to eventually look at Chapter 26 and update all of the language that's held therein. There's things that aren't appropriate, as I reported at the last meeting, so we've been a pretty busy committee. We've met a couple of times. And then one of the committee members wanted to play the devil's advocate, so we're gonna need some more data about the amount of revenue that the city stands to gain for providing out of city limits services, so that we have some solid numbers and we can actually report back to the council about what the city stands to gain by moving forward with this action. And then one of the ordinances within Chapter 26 deals with out of city limits services, so we need to look into that a little bit deeper. And then it also deals with the testing of meters, which we had some citizens test some meters, and we need to look at the verbiage in that ordinance and update things. So hopefully, in the near future, we have our recommendation for the council to move forward on these items. And that's all I've got.
Make sure when you guys do review that Chapter 26, you look for how many days or months you can go back on that forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that Public Works Supervisor suggested that we could do for sure.
And maybe what Councilman Butts suggested too, having some kind of a format for customers to kind of write and their request for forgiveness. So, perfect, thank you. Any other standing committee reports? Any new business? I do have one thing, Shane Crawford from the refinery is trying to, set up a time to meet with the council in regards to, let me look it back up. To do a presentation in regards to, a use, proposal, use control agreement process, sorry. So I'm gonna see if he can come and do something on our next meeting, the first. If that sounds good. He would like to do with he would like to do, a presentation with both the city and the county. So, it may be another day of the week, but I'll try to push it for, maybe the first and then invite the commissioners
Presentation
as well.
for
For, use control agreement process.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
This is the email I've got. We'd like to hold a public comment meeting at the Newcastle Lodge, so it may not be here, to accommodate a potential large number of attendees. We'd like to schedule this meeting to take place, in the evening hours for the first couple weeks of May. Is there a certain date, but it's, the use control agreement process that maybe you can explain, or can you not?
Had some background, but not total background, so, it's for any of the land that the refinery owns, that if they decide they're gonna be closing down, just like the refinery in Casper's closed down many years ago, is what can that land be used for, if it has to be returned to, standards of housing district. Obviously they put that one in the golf course there in Casper. The use of the land after they're basically done on it.
They're not leaving on
No.
Tell them they can't leave.
it. Okay. Well, like I said, in his email, it said that they would like to do it at the lodge because of number of attendees, so it's probably not gonna be at our meeting here. But,
He was just inviting us to attend.
no, he's looking for dates for us
Dates that we
to,
want to come.
that we could, meet with both the commissioners and the city and have a presentation, most likely at the lodge because of number of attendees, so it'll be open to the public.
I'll be out of town the first week of May.
Okay. Well, I'll send him an email and see.
The whole week?
I'll be back for council meeting.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. So, as soon as I hear from him, I will let you guys know at our next meeting. If it's something before the next meeting, I'll send an email out. And I'm sure they will advertise this, this meeting or, the proposal or whatnot. So, just a heads up.
So we'd have to advertise it as a public meeting if we were all trying to attend.
I don't know, cause it's a presentation.
Yeah, I
by the
wouldn't think
refinery
so. It's
inviting
not,
everybody.
no business is gonna be done.
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing any,
We don't do business.
right, and the newspaper will know because they're probably gonna advertise it in there.
So he's just inviting us to attend
Right.
as the public and not as a
Right.
governing body. He just wants the council to be there.
We're gonna do a presentation or
Well,
something.
it affects us if they leave and what we can use the land for, even though it's annexed into the county.
It wouldn't really be a meeting, it'd just be
A presentation,
an
Informational.
informational.
Okay,
yeah.
I understand.
No decision would be made at that time, I doubt it.
I have some new business as well. I was approached by a couple of citizens. They were asking, this is going to affect Public Works too, right? They, between Stampede and the port of entry, it's kind of a long stretch of sidewalk. And they approached me about garbage can placement possible. I didn't know how the rest of the council felt about that. But I mean, one of the citizens was talking about, you know, when I pick up a plastic bag full of my dog's poo, it's a long space to carry it. So they're wondering if they could have some places to.
Well, we
Or
have,
just a receptacle.
well, there's, go ahead, Greg. 'Cause we talked
Councilman,
about
the mayor approached me about this.
Okay.
We have some prices on some dog receptacles where they can actually deposit as well as grab a bag if need be.
Okay.
We've looked at 3 of them on that stretch, I believe. And we've talked about trash receptacles, and I'm adding those into my budget for next fiscal year.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, one of the specific citizens I spoke with said that, you know, if there were some trash receptacles there, if they saw trash, then they would pick it up and then they could deposit it in a receptacle and kind of pick up and police the area, which sounded nice.
We got all kinds of trash cans up and down Main Street, nobody uses them.
Well,
There's
then
dog
maybe we
crap
could
all over the sidewalks.
move those ones out to the port entry.
no, we do have plans to.
People that
do some-
walk.
Not quite sure which
Have a
direction we're
tendency.
gonna go, whether, we'll have
They don't pick it up on Main Street.
doggy bags.
They don't walk on Main Street.
Duty bags, basically.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
As far as the
Dog
actual
crap all
trash
over Main Street
receptacles,
sidewalks.
it'll depend on price and stuff like that. Some of those garbage cans can't be for.
You don't walk them.
Okay.
I walk them everywhere.
Primarily looking
You
at
have
the
to
wind
pass
issues
the balls.
involved with
Huh?
them is a lot. They have to weigh enough to keep them
I
in
can't
place.
pass this.
So you're not going
You don't walk
across the
at all.
highway at a semi.
Okay.
That, you kind of reminded me of 2 things, sorry. I did have a citizen, tell me today that there's like broken glass and stuff under that underpass, the walkway underpass of the bypass. If maybe somebody can look at that.
Over by the school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, starting in,
That's ours.
under
That's ours?
the walkway, under,
Really?
yeah.
Yes, Councilman, we have an agreement with the state. Since it's on state highway, we take care of the sidewalks,
Yeah.
even the underpass.
And then, just FYI, I'll have more information as it comes, but, YDOT is gonna be working on the bypass, so starting in April, late April, early May, it's gonna go down to 1 lane with stoplights, from probably the highway department to Douglas. I guess they got exposed rebar and a whole bunch of stuff, so they're gonna be redoing, the whole bypass. And it should be about 2 months for them to do the project. So I think it'd be really nice to have detour signs down by the port of entry and over by Deckers, because you're gonna, with the school buses and whatnot, maybe we need to let them know too. And you guys know, cause I know a lot of the school buses go that way. But maybe get with, Guy Phillips.
Madam Mayor, I believe that would all be under a contract with whatever contractor decides to do the traffic control.
Yeah, they're gonna have stoplights, he said.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and they'll
so
go
if
down
If
1
we were
lane.
to put up detour signs, it would have to be at the permission of the contractor
Yeah.
or YDOT. So, and it would be the construction side, so
Right.
Foreman Phillips probably cannot give us permission for it. We'd have to go probably through Scott Taylor. I'm
Just FYI, it's gonna start, I think they said the end of, like, later in April, the second or third week in April is when they're gonna start doing stuff. And then it should take about 2 months to complete the project. So, but those were the 2 things that popped in my head. Any other new business? Claims against the city dated March 18th, 2024.
No, I don't care. Madam Mayor, I move that we pay our bills, please.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to pay the claims against the city. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
please show that he abstains. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we
Yes.
adjourn, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, adjourned at 8:43.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.